Welcome back, everybody, to a spooky special episode of InstaGamers Raw. I'm your host, Nathan, also known as No Signal on Instagram with a 0. I'm a lecturer of games design and a budding indie game developer. Who else do I have on my panel today?
Hi, I'm Rowan, aka Gumfist _ on pretty much everything. Tonight I'm a spooky ghost, and I am a game design student man who also does a podcast. This one.
Hi, my name is Tommy Keogh. I am author of Gamertag Stories as well as the Bogsproggler series. You can find me on Instagram at Gamertag Stories and everywhere else. I'm also accepting submissions for Gamertag Stories Level 2. So if you'd like to be included, just find me on Instagram, ping me a message, and you can be in the next book.
Hey, I'm Ellie, aka Alilu, Twitch streamer and Instagram gaming influencer.
Hello, I'm Ash Millman, and I'm excited to be here.
Yay.
You can find me at Ash Millman on socials, and I work for PlayStation Access as a host and writer and general spooky enthusiast.
Thank you very much for agreeing to be on the show, Ash, as well. It's awesome to have you here.
It's awesome to be here, especially in the presence of a real life ghost as well.
Thank you.
It sounds cheesy, but big fan, by the way. Like, actually a big fan.
I'm a big fan of your work, Mr. Ghost.
Appreciate it.
He's had many a cameo in Charles Dickens novels.
Yeah.
We're in the spooky season, guys. I mean, this is the season to start watching spooky stories and, those horror movies that we enjoy and play those video games that make us poo our pants. So,
Speak for yourself.
It's a common theme. Personal problem. But so a little icebreaker. I mean, so just to start off, what scares everybody? Because everyone's kind of, scared of different things. Some people are scared by jump scares. Some people are scared by psychological horror. What is it that scares each of us? Ash, we'll start with you since you're our special guest. What scares you about in games and movies?
So I think the base level easy answer is spiders. Like, I definitely make a joke about spiders a lot. Like, at work we have little plastic ones that I hide everywhere. But like, they actually do frighten me quite a lot, like in games and in films. Like anything with 8 legs, it's like a bit insectoid on the wrong end of, like, from beetle to spider, beetle good, spider bad. Like, if they're towards the spider end of the spectrum, it's a no-go. And also water, like, I love water. I love the sea. I think it's so interesting and cool and full of interesting animals. But also, like, the thought of, like, being stuck at the bottom of the ocean or in the middle of the ocean.
How about an octopus? That's kind of like a water spider.
Yeah, you know what? That actually is. But because they're so floppy, they're okay. The flop, like, endears them.
The flop has disarmed them, So how about Resident Evil games? They're full of spiders, right? In pretty much every one, I think there's spiders at some point, isn't there?
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
Yes,
Giant ones.
there is. Yes, that massive room with the I literally forgotten its name. It's Black Widow, something like that. There's a room in the first one that has, like, it's covered in spiders. It might be the second one. It's got the massive enemy that's like, it's just a massive spider. It's not a zombie. Like, I don't understand why it's in there, but it is. Sickening, absolutely sickening. Hate it. Like, I don't mind fighting them because at least then they're gone at the end. I can kill them. But when you can't fight back, that's absolutely the worst part, when they're crawling everywhere and you can't swat them in a game. Well.
Apparently, we swallow 7 a year, don't we, while we're sleeping? Is that what they say? Spiders. Let me put that out there. Spiders.
Yeah, is that true? Is that an urban myth?
I do it while I'm awake to assert dominance. I'm like,
Have you ever seen the film Arachnophobia? Now, if you're scared of spiders, that is the film, right? That's like, it's the same as Jaws, but for spiders. It's just, I love it. 1990, Jeff Daniels. What a great film.
I remember Eight-Legged Freaks.
Eight-Legged Freaks.
Yeah. I remember that.
That had Scarlett Johansson in, though, which was like, I don't know. Every time I watch that, I'm like, oh, she's in this. Arachnophobia, the spider in the shower, though, like, haunts me.
I like that scene for a different reason. The lady in the shower.
What could that
be? I wonder. But they're remaking it, apparently. They're remaking Arachnophobia. Well, they're remaking everything, aren't they? But I mean, I think but John Goodman's amazing in it. Have you seen it, Nathan?
Yeah. I'm obviously like child of the 90s. I remember Arachnophobia. I remember it being like pretty cheesy though. Is it like? Cause my memory of it has been like fun, And I'm not scared of spiders, you see. So like it didn't scare me, but I remember it being kind of fun and quite cheesy.
I saw it when I was a kid because it was, I was a kid in the 90s, and actually that makes sense of why I am scared of spiders.
Yeah, like youthful impression. That's it. It's in there.
Yeah.
It's still a great film. I highly recommend it. If you don't like spiders, don't watch it.
Don't watch a film called Arachnophobia.
Yeah.
So, this is a film tailored to someone who's arachnophobic. Surely they'll understand and watch it. Oh no.
It's like aversion therapy, isn't it? You kind of watch it and there you go. Good. Right, our resident ghost, Rowan, how about you? What scares you?
So I got like 3 films that I find really creepy just because they're so weird and like dreamlike. So the first one is, you ever seen Fire in the Sky?
Oh yeah. Alien abduction movie.
I know.
Yeah. So
I can't watch it.
Oh,
because
that
of what it
abduction
is.
scene is gross. It is
it's pretty
like
terrifying.
so.
Oh
it's
my
the
God.
fact it's a true story, and it's just like when he's like inside the weird like alien condom sack thing, and they're like cutting him open and stuff. And they're like shoving tubes in his nose, and that is gross. And
I need to watch this film.
It's really like it's like I guess like body horror, but invasive kind of that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's horrible.
But it comes out of nowhere, doesn't it? Like Fire in the Sky is like quite like procedural until it gets this one bit where it's like, okay, he's abducted, and it's horrible, like for 10 minutes.
It's like a missing person case, isn't it? Really, at the start.
Yeah, it's like a murder mystery, and it's like pretty like it's like a normal detective thing, very like Twin Peaksy. And then
did it come out about early 90s, didn't it? 93-ish?
So, yeah.
91, 93, something like that.
Yeah. Okay, I know the one you're on about. Yeah, I need to watch that.
It's
I love that kind of stuff.
It's weird, man. And on the same note, Jacob's Ladder, same sort of reason.
Yeah, good.
It's just like that nightmare fuel. And I have like a really specific one. You guys ever seen this?
Cat things.
Okay. I have like a really specific one. Have you guys ever seen The Strangers?
Yeah.
So
I've heard of it.
Oh, it's really good. They made like a sequel, whereas like they turned the sequel into like a slasher because it was like an 80s slasher, whereas the original was like a domestic horror, I guess.
Oh, and, I think right. Has this got Liv Tyler in it?
I think
right.
So. Yeah.
I think I know what you're talking about. I haven't seen it, but I know the film.
So there's one scene that always catches me, and it's like a wide shot. Well, I got arms now. It's like a wide shot. And, it's like the kitchen and the living room and stuff, and there's the 2 people in the house are just kind of going about their day, and you just see one of the strangers kind of just walking, just throw out the thing in the background, and it doesn't like show it. If you were looking, you would see it, and that freaks me out, man. It's just something about that where it's like, oh, there's no reaction to it. It's gross.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh my God. Have you guys seen, oh my God, I'm just throwing my microphone over. Have you seen Ghost Watch?
I haven't seen it, but aren't they re-releasing it on like Blu-ray soon, like for Halloween?
I hope so. Oh my God, I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
Ghost Watch is one of my favorite films I found last year. It's a BBC special from the 90s where I watched
that live and it terrified me.
Yeah,
I know what you mean. The possession in the house and all that stuff. Is that the one you're on about? Oh my God. So I think. Actually, Nathan, I think you're slightly older than me, but I was old enough to remember that, and it came out about 93, 94, and I watched it, and being 9 years old and impressionable, oh my God.
It's crazy,
and they release
isn't it? It's so good. It's I recommend it to everyone. It's proper British horror. It's got what's his face from Red Dwarf running around like the whole time as well. Oh, it's so good. But I bring it up just because it's right at the background. The ghost is called Pipes, and Pipes appears in the background continuously. So if you're looking for him, you will see him. But if you're not, you can just be watching a scene, and then Pipes will be there, like looking at you in the background.
I love that. That's the best kind of scare, man.
That's
so if you like The Strangers.
I'll keep an eye on that, yeah.
Yeah, Ash, you're very topical. It is getting re-released literally this year on Halloween, 31st October, through 101 Films.
I need to get in line. Thank you, man. I'm going to look at that.
Cool. Tommy, how about you?
So jump scares get me. Do you know, I'm quite hard to scare with gore or psychological stuff, which is just kind of scary, isn't it, in itself? I'm like, yeah, bring it on. But so if in a film or TV media, House on Haunted Hill. So that jump, we've all seen that. We've seen the jump scare in the back of the car, right? As they're just driving along, and suddenly, I think it's like episode 8 or 9 or whatever, and boom, it's out of nowhere, comes up the car.
Yeah, that's scary, because that's not like jump scares. I'm someone who doesn't really get hit by jump scares, because I think they're quite telegraphed, aren't they? Like you can kind of tell the music dips down. There's a kind of, you kind of feel the tension ready to snap, but then that jump scare is just out of nowhere.
And I think that for when we put it into gaming, for me, is I get so taken into the world, and I become, we all do, we're all gamers, we get taken in, we are that character playing it, and I get so kind of into my own little fantasy world. When it happens, even if you are, it's going to happen. Like when I was playing Resident Evil 7 for the first time, and you're going under the house and in the water, and someone pops up. That wasn't Nathan pooing his pants there again. That was the point that comes up. It really does get me. It psychologically doesn't really scare me. When I was a kid, like much, much younger, things like Halloween and even the Texas Chainsaw scared me because, well, first off, my dad showed them to me when I was about 10. And secondly, he was like, watch this. And I've got an over-imagination as it is. But also, kind of, it's not a monster, it's not space, it's not aliens, it's just a guy in a mask, and it could just be your next door neighbor who can come in and just stab you in the back or something. And so that was quite scary. But it's
William
more
Shatner
jump
mask.
scares.
That's pretty scary, anyway.
Yeah, exactly. His little eyes cut out. But and I know jump scares are predictable. I know they are, and that's what bugs me even more about it. Because I'm like, oh. So like the Dead Space remake coming out, I'm going to play it. I'm going to buy it, and I know it's going to make me jump, and I'm going to be like, "You're an idiot. Sort it out."
The Haunting of Hill House, that specific car scene. Do you know how they did that one? Have you seen the behind the scenes tweet about it? So basically, Mike Flanagan. Big shout out, Mike Flanagan. I love him.
Great director.
He basically gave the actors multiple sheets of dialogue that they had to get through, and to get the jump scare to work on the actress in the front of the car, the one in the back, he aligned her to jump up a page or half a page of dialogue earlier than they thought the jump scare was going to be. So nice. the two women in the front, that is their actual reaction to.
That's amazing.
To her leaning up and being like Rah! In the back of the car.
That's kind of like the Exorcist technique, isn't it? Where they just like fire guns off on set.
Fire again, I was about to say, yeah.
But there's kind of links into Rowan as well with the Strangers, was it? Sorry, that you were saying?
The Strangers, yeah.
Where obviously, if you pay attention, and we've probably all Googled it or YouTubed it now, all the ghosts that are secretly in the scene.
Hidden around.
Oh my God. So, do you know what? That jump, I'll be honest, I'm a bit of a pansy, even though I love horror stuff. Like, I love it. I haven't watched the second season because that jump scare scared me.
It's not as scary. No. It's not the same. It's kind of more romantic.
I'm pushing 40, man. I don't want to end up giving myself a heart attack watching that.
No, I'd say watch it, Tommy. Watch it. The second season's more. It is more kind of goth romantic than it is like straight up horror. Like
you can have a thing next week going. Unfortunately, Tommy couldn't make it this week.
Well, Tommy,
he's no longer with us.
You'll outright die if you watch Mike Flanagan's new one, because it's got the Guinness World Record for the most amount of jump scares.
Most jump scares. Yeah, what's it called?
Midnight Club.
Midnight Club.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's so silly. It's so silly, the opening episide, though. You should watch it just to see if it gets you.
It's great. Yeah.
It's so good.
Laughing. It's so
I'll watch it after this, and then I'll message you all going,
you'll be dead, Tommy.
Okay.
You'll be joining Rome with a ghost sheet.
Yes.
Ellie, what scares you? Games and movies. What's your thing you're terrified of?
I think I have like 3 specific things, because basically going back about maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I don't feel like I'd really properly played a horror game for myself. I'd watched my dad play a lot, and I tried a few, and I felt like every time I was playing any kind of horror game, even Tattletale or whatever, I felt like I was going to get a heart attack. But then after I played Resident Evil 2, which was the scariest game I think I had played, after I played that, I was like, there's something oddly comforting about horror, like when you're playing the games. And like now, like I don't feel too scared. Like, okay, I scream sometimes if I'm playing a horror game, but it's usually out of frustration, if I'm running out of ammo or something. But I think that when it comes to what scares me, whether it is a game or a film or TV show, I think that there's no specific order between these three things, but these are the things that get me. Aliens, but specifically the grey aliens. So when you said fire in the sky, I was like, I've read about that. Like, I love reading about the paranormal and conspiracy theories and stuff. I obsess over that stuff. Like, but I cannot make myself watch that film because I saw the trailer for it. What was the one with Mila Jovovich?
Oh, The Fourth Kind.
Saw the trailer for that when it came out, and I couldn't sleep for about 6 weeks afterwards. So probably not a good idea to watch that film. So that's one thing. And then another is in some horror games you have like a chaser character. For example, Resident Evil 2 has Mr. X, I think it is. Yeah, in remake. And
with his swag gear and his hat.
Yeah, like I think like now I can handle him because since then I played this one called what was it called? Horror Tale the Wine, I think it was. And
I remember you playing that on your channel, yeah.
The chasing in that is like constant. It's so much faster, and I was like, I just really wanted it to be over. Like I finished the game, but I was like, that was stressful. So, but even being chased by someone with a net in Animal Crossing does that to me. I just can't stand it.
Animal Crossing, the worst thing is trying to catch those scorpions and like tarantulas.
It's the spiders. It's the spiders in Animal Crossing again.
And they start rearing up at you. You're like, oh God.
Yeah, hate it.
I think the third and final thing that really gets me in horror that I can't handle is like there's gore and then there's like really super realistic gritty gore. And like I can never put my finger on exactly what it is, but there are certain films, like even if it's not a horror film, if it's like, just a gritty film or whatever, like I'll just know like I don't think I'll be able to watch that. Like there's just a certain type of gritty gore that I can't deal with.
I hate when people put their fingers in bullet holes in films. That's disgusting.
I think I can deal with that.
You guys sound like you're just describing a Rob Zombie movie.
Yeah.
I love gore, all types of gore, realistic gore. I find it fascinating, which is really terrifying, but I love it. There was something recently. Have you seen Bone Tomahawk?
I love Bone Tomahawk. It's a great film.
Great movie.
We're putting the hip flask when he like cuts him open, puts the hip flask inside himself. Again, it's like not inside himself, inside someone else.
Safekeeping it.
Did we watch the same movie?
Sorry, mine was called Boner Tomahawk, so that's why oh dear. But no, things like that, the realistic gore. First, just because I love special effects, and so I find it fascinating that they can pull that off and like, oh my god, when it's practical effects rather than CGI, because CGI gore just looks rubbish, I think.
Yeah.
So it's just weird, isn't it, how we're all different in what freaks us out.
Yeah, definitely.
I do enjoy some gore. Like I enjoy, like I've been playing the preview for Scorn, and I love the gore in that. I love the gore in video games. I do love gore in TV and film. There's some stuff I'll see that my boyfriend is uncomfortable with, and the other way around. But it's like a very specific kind. Like when I was a kid, like my dad like really loves movie making. He had all these like different books like about how films were made, like Alien. And I watched Alien super young. I was like 5 years old when I watched the first Alien film. And I really love it. And the bit where the face hugger bursts out of the chest has never bothered me. I was actually just laughing at it the first time I saw it because I knew. But it's like, when I say a gritty kind of gore, like I just don't know how to describe it, but it's just a very specific kind. There's just some stuff I can't cope with. I think the Saw movies, I'm not good with. Like, I can't enjoy that. I have to hide my face in something.
I think it's the difference. Like it's like when you eat meat and when you eat meat that has gristle in it, like it's that chewy kind of visceral, like where it's not quite smooth and easy. It's not someone getting their arm chopped off and squirting like blood everywhere. It's someone pulling an arm off where you can see them going through it. That I had like there's Martha is Dead. There's a scene where you cut a face off and peel it back, and it's the action of peeling it back and thinking like instead of it just being like, you know, something that comes off. That I think I know what you mean with the gritty horror. It's like when you can feel it, when they kind of elaborate on it, and it's not fun. It's like, ooh, that's nasty.
Yeah.
Pulling nails and fingernails off and stuff with pliers. That kind of
Nails
stuff.
definitely get me.
And eyeballs get me as well.
Yeah.
I love it.
On that note, Rowan, I think you've got the first question for our special guest. Do you want to ask
I
it?
have. I'm gonna get really close to read this.
To explain to everyone that can't see, Rowan is like gotten literally.
I've taken a screenshot. Don't you worry.
So, our first question is, what is the spookiest moment you've experienced in a video game? And this was by MGA_Captain Cola New. What's the spookiest moment you've witnessed in a video game?
I liked the journey through that name the most. Like, it sounded like a question. And then, no, it's finished.
We'll question everything.
I think we've mentioned Dead Space and like the opening of Dead Space. Ellie, you said you played games with your dad as well. That was me growing up. I played like loads of games with my dad, or he played them and I would watch them. And Dead Space was the one that like he would play through it and I would sit and watch. And we started like swapping the pad originally. Like I think I started off playing it and we were like, okay, we'll swap over after a little bit. And as soon as you go through that corridor and the necromorphs start getting up, I literally like, I hated it. I was so much more like sensitive to horror when I was younger. I was so fascinated by it and like morbidly interested. But putting yourself in the player experience when the necromorphs are getting up and you realize that any corpse could be like a monster and you see them tearing people apart through the windows, there's blood splattering everywhere. I had to watch my dad do the whole thing because it just got me so much, that jump scare. But also, like separate to Dead Space, because I've spoken about that a few times in other places, but the other one that's really got me recently is I hadn't played Soma for years. I hadn't played Soma, and I corrected that this year, or recently anyway, and oh my God, it is like everything that is designed to frighten me all in one. That bit where you're on the bottom of the ocean.
Underwater,
and there's
tick.
Oh, the bit when you're on the bottom of the ocean, there's a storm brewing, so you can't see ahead. I have like, I don't know if it's as serious as a phobia, but you know, like submechaphobia, where like you see like rusted metal in water and it makes you freak out. I hate seeing man-made things in water. Oil rigs make me want to vomit. Like
really?
I just think they're disgusting. Like I hate it. There's something like they're wired with me wrong about metal in water. So there's another one in Soma that's there because it's all underwater massive facility. And there's a sequence where you come out of the facility, you're on the bottom of the ocean, you're walking through, there's a storm going on, and you have to follow a bunch of lights down a path that someone has laid to guide you to the next bit of the station. So you're going path to path, like little light to little light, and there's fish all around you, massive like Leviathan beings that kind of inspire that Lovecraftian cosmic horror vibe, which is another thing that gets me, like massive things that are just too big to kind of comprehend. The Sinking City has one at the opening, which is like this Cthulhu monster, and you're tiny, and that makes me feel really ill just thinking about something being so big as well. But my reaction to horror is just sickness. It's not like fear. I'm just
how do you feel about BioShock?
Yeah,
I like BioShock because you're inside. But the bit with Soma is that when you get to this outside bit, right, there's a cave that you have to go through, and it's full of crabs. But they're not crabs. They're not normal crabs. They're spiders. They're underwater crabs. So it's this tunnel literally covered wall to wall in little spidery-like crabs. And as you go through to the end, because I was running through, like heaving, like, oh, get them away. As you go through to the end, you realise that the lights you've been following, there's a small piece of lore that you can read before you get to this point that's like, oh, the giant fish that live on the bottom of the ocean, one of them is an anglerfish, be afraid of it. And I totally forgot because I was freaking out about spiders, and the light that you're running to is a horrible massive anglerfish that comes out of the darkness and is like to eat you.
Nice.
Oh, like everything in it was just so well done. Like Soma is a masterpiece, but that sequence beat me up. Like I was like, I had to take a break afterwards because I was just sweating. It was really too much.
Ash, this sounds like someone literally just opened your brain up, looked at everything that makes you scared, and just made a game out of it.
Yeah, genuinely. And I was like, oh my God, like, so I love all of the frictional game stuff, like Amnesia as well. And I thought, oh, it's time to get on Soma. and Soma it ticked so many boxes. Like I loved feeling genuinely quite unnerved and scared, because I feel like I don't really get that anymore with games. Because you learn to read things and being in there, and once you die once to a monster, you're like, okay, let's keep going again, and you kind of learn the rhythm of them.
Yeah, sure.
So for that one to kind of like just come out here and surprise me so much was so good, and I loved feeling tense and nervous. It was nasty.
I think Returnal does that really well as well. Same sort of thing. Like the underwater section of that is like, whoa.
Yeah.
Same
It's rancid.
Giant enemies in there as well.
It's so
oh
deep
my God.
and cavernous.
It's the noise. Sorry, oh my God, I'm really excited. So I'm sorry if I'm talking over you. It's the. Oh, sorry, I'm doing it again. It's the noise they make, is all I was going to say. It's the noise these absolute horrible beasts, these Reaper things make, where they're like yelling and it echoes. And it's
yeah.
Natural.
The Typhon, is that what they're called?
Yeah, something like that.
Though it sounds like a submarine, like underwater. You know, when it hits pressure and you hear all the metal plates groan.
Yeah.
That sound like is horrible. And when they use it for aliens and underwater beings, and it's like this titan sound in your ears, where they're gigantic beasts that move with the sound of a gigantic ship.
Yeah. Ugh. We're huge fans of Returnal here at InstaGamers as well. Me and Rowan just actually smashed that game.
I've tickled it.
I've only tickled it as well.
Yeah.
It's on my list.
Oh well, I love Returnal. It's a beautiful game. The storytelling in it, chef's kiss.
Oh yeah, amazing. The storytelling in Soma as well is amazing, isn't it? I mean, just to interject, like Soma is, it's a fantastic horror game, but I think the story of Soma just sticks with you for like ages afterwards. 100%. What are you gonna say, Tommy?
I was just going to say, going back to that style of game, did you ever play Outlast, Ash? Have you ever played the Outlast game? So for me personally, that was the first kind of that style of, we've disarmed you, you've got no weapons, you've just got to run, these things are indestructible. First time I ever played, and I think that game for me is what Soma is for you. So I played Soma as well, and it's terrifying. But the first Outlast, which was kind of one of the very early games on PS4. I think it was released like a month later, month into its lifespan. And I played it, and I started streaming it with my friend who I was living with at the time. And oh my God, it was absolutely terrifying. I just felt defensive, completely. It's that defenseless. The batteries in the video camera. Because I love all my action games, and I've got a big old double barrel shotgun. Come at me, whatever, And now I'm like, I've got a handy cam. And it's just that feeling of helplessness, and it's amazing, isn't it? But,
just found footage and cameras, like in horror movies, it's so good. Like the way that the format works to kind of challenge your perspective and how things kind of can be experienced, and to then have that in a video game through a video camera there. It's so good. I do love Outlast.
Right, guys, that leads nice on to the next question. So we're going to take a quick break, and then Tommy, I believe you've got the next one.
So going back to what I was saying, actually scared me, is what this question leads into. So jump scares, do they work? What's the best jump scare used in a video game? And this is sent in by the esports teacher, who is our very own James, who unfortunately couldn't be here this evening.
Hi, James.
Hi, James. It's a great question.
Hi, I suppose.
What did you say, sorry?
It doesn't matter. It was just, everyone's like, hi, James. I'm like, oh, hi.
Get lost, James.
Oh, James.
I think jump scares absolutely do work, but the magic in them is not, you need to go one way or the other, which is not giving any signal that they're going to happen and throwing them in your face. So it's like, oh my God, I'm very jump scared. Or it's spelling out that one's going to happen for a very long time, and you need to do it longer than you think for
Keep
the
pressure building.
To work. Yeah. You want it like a boil, like that's what you want it like, ready to pop. And you need to keep on filling it up with that fluid, otherwise it's not going to work.
Messy. So what is the best jump scare used in a video game then? In fact, actually, before we answer that, I think you're completely right there about the kind of out of nowhere. And I think it does work better in gaming than it does in films. Films are very, very predictable with the jump scares, I think. But games like that Resident Evil 7 one, which I mentioned earlier, Just comes out of nowhere, and there's plenty of them. So what's the best one used in a video game, Ash? What do you think?
The iconic one is the Resident Evil dogs, isn't it? Like,
yeah, it's banging. It's good.
You can't really beat that. But my favourite one appears in 2 games that I've played very recently, which is Visage and Madison. Both absolutely banging and big recommend. And it is a creepy woman looking around a corner. And I love this jump scare because every time I think it's not going to happen and every time it does. So in Visage, it's when you've done loads of stuff around a little office. So the premise is you're in like a kind of limbo-esque, dreamlike haunted house where things are kind of knocking around, the lamps moving, lights are turning on and off, and there's like energies in there. And as you go into an office to kind of do some bits and pick up some items, when you turn around and come back out, someone is looking at you, but you don't expect to like see someone there. Like it's not really been it's just proper like she's peeking around the corner and then she goes. So by the time you realize what you've seen, she's gone again. And they did the same one in Madison, where Madison, you know, is there. When you come out of a basement, you have to like squeeze down this really tight passageway and shimmy through, which they do in Resident Evil 7 a lot with, and it's the
like
walls
constricting.
centipedes.
Yeah.
So you're stuck in there, and like you think something's going to happen the first time you do it, because it's very dark and nasty, and nothing happens. You go into the basement, you come back out, and you have to squeeze back through. And when you come squeezing back through, little woman's poking, looking around at you, and I was like, jump scare. I don't know what it is. It really pops me every time. Like, but it scares me, and then I'm like, woman scare.
See, this is where like, oh, go on, Ty.
That's what I say. If you ever played Rush of Blood, play it on PSVR.
I actually haven't.
Yeah.
VR makes me too afraid. VR genuinely makes me too afraid. I'm so scared of it.
Do you know what? That literally just came to me because I was thinking about kind of Resident Evil and stuff. But Ash, sorry, Nathan, you say you've played it?
No, I know of. It's the Until Dawn spin-off, is it? Is that right?
I think
I played it.
Let me just.
So it's an on-rail shooter, really. Yeah. And there's some bits in there, especially in the kind of later levels. One of them's a mental asylum. It's all kind of spooky and and it's amazing. It looks great for what it is. But and again, it's one of those ones where you know the jump scare is coming because you're shooting your guns all over, and then the lights go out and there's like some heavy breathing. And I've got so many of my friends to play it, and I've just filmed their reactions on my phone while they're in the headset and they don't know that I'm filming them. And every single one of them, oh my God, is amazing. I might make a compilation and stick it on Instagram. But the lights go down, you hear the breathing, you know something's going to jump up. You don't know where it's going to be. Obviously, it's going to be right in front of your face. Even after playing that level 50 times, it still gets me every single time. It is terrifying. So Ash, I highly recommend it.
I will give it a go at some point. Like, I feel like I deserve it after all of the stuff I've been through. I deserve the moment of like poo pants horror, as you would say, Nathan.
On the subject of that, I was going to talk about, because you mentioned Visage, and I was literally talking about this game last night to a colleague. And like, the problem is that, well, my relationship with that game is so weird. This just demonstrates how sad I am to an extent as well. Like in video games, I love to just look around every nook and cranny. I get really paranoid if I think I'm going to miss something. So especially with Visage, because you have to kind of like scour that house, don't you, to find the clues and the things you need to progress the plot. And so there were so many times playing that game when I'd be literally like my face in a sock drawer or something, trying to find some clue, and they hear like a dun noise in the background, and there's obviously a jump scare happen, and I'd turn around and be like, what was it? What? I missed about half of those jump scares. Like literally, they were just happening off camera. We're having a discussion about player agency. I think this is the thing, isn't it? Where I think horror especially works quite well if you can almost like take agency off player a little bit, just so that you can orchestrate those jump scares or those scary situations. If you give loads of agency to players, you get like dumbasses like me that end up staring at wall textures and just going, oh my God, look at the parallax occlusion here. And then something's happening behind you.
My boyfriend does this when we play horror games together, because like, bless him, he's like, yeah, let me play some horror. And I'll be like, okay, let's try this one. And I'm the worst like backseat gamer. Like, I'm like, go over there, do this. Like, why aren't you looking in that drawer? Have you been back there? Excuse me, do that again. And it means that like, he's very like into it and looking at everything. He's used to playing FPSs. So he like turns the sensitivity up massively, and he's like, doosh, doosh, like spinning everywhere really fast. And I'm like, make it cinematic, I'm watching. And it means that like sometimes we'll miss a scare, or like we're playing something that maybe like I know the beginning of, and I want him to see his reaction, and he's like looking around going, whoa, and I can't stand it.
I completely sympathize with him. That issue is me. Yeah, I mean, I remember when I played PT, and I love PT. There was that bit where I play the game and you know, I'm not going to say what happened to my trousers, but you know, with the score. And like basically like afterwards I went onto the internet and there were pictures of like some horrible face like over.
I would have gone and changed my trousers afterwards first before going on the internet.
No, I just roll with it, bro.
He wears nappies.
He's used to it by now.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, like I went on the internet, I saw loads of pictures of like, you know, when I think it might be when the fridge is like swinging and then it was like a horrible sort of like grimly faced figure.
That
like,
bit
over
is
the balcony.
so harsh.
I didn't see that figure at all. Like, I actually must have gone, oh, a fridge, and it walked off. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just terrible. I'm really unobservant for like these jump scares that happen in games. Like, just so I'd love to say that Visage got me, but like I was probably just facing a wall when half of that stuff happened.
That makes me sad. But
I know.
That bit with the doll with the long fingers though that comes after you, that's
definitely got some creepy bits in it. Yeah, it is a creepy game.
So good. Oh, it is good. One of my favorite types of jump scare as well that kind of ties over from films into games is camera flash jump scares. And I like because they're the perfect blend of instantaneous, like no build up and nothing but build up, because you know you've got a camera, you know the only thing you can see is a flash and you know it's going to be one of them, but not which one. So like something like Host at the end where like the camera's flashing and flashing and things getting closer. Host is one of my favorite films ever. I love it so much. And then something like, I don't know if you guys played this, but Hotel 626, it was a flash game.
No.
I did.
Yes!
I just had it was like point and click, right?
Yeah. It was actually a Doritos promotion.
Yeah, I do. I remember it.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was so ahead of its time. Like it's literally it's called Hotel 626 because you could only log on between the hours of 6 to 6, so 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So you need to change your internal clock if you wanted to go on in the middle of the day, and you'd log in, and it was basically like tied in sequences that used your computer to kind of gauge your reaction and scare you with things. So it'd have access to your microphone and your camera. And there's one bit where you have to like sing the devil baby to sleep, otherwise it gets up and attacks you.
Cute.
Yeah, it's like, oh, little lullaby. There's another bit where the camera flash scare, which is why I'm bringing it up, is one of my favorites. Yeah, where you're locked in a bathroom with a maid that's like possessed. And you have to take pictures to try and find her until she turns around and screams in your face. You just have this little picture of her. And as she does it, it's either then or maybe a bit later on, but as you get a big scare, your webcam takes a picture of you. And when you go downstairs, you can find your picture being like, downstairs, which was so good. They do that.
Me such a flashback with that.
Yeah, literally
crazy.
The camera flashback.
Yeah.
They also... I just can't stop. They also do it in Madison as well, because what you have to use as a camera to go through to take pictures of the world around you for it to change. So when you're flashing your camera, every time it could just be something horrible that's there, and you're like, oh, please stop.
I was going to ask, have you got any tips for Madison? I've got it on my list to play.
Yes.
So
okay,
is it quite hard or?
So I've played it a few times because I did the little speedrun trophy as well. I think if you want to get all the collectibles, it depends how into trophies you are. If you want to get all the collectibles, then you need to look everywhere, which makes it much scarier because you've got to go through and do everything. I don't really have advice as such because it's very much the puzzles, like play it on the mode where you can, the normal difficulty, so you can see where you need to take pictures. I think it only makes sense to do the hard one after you know. Because otherwise you'll just be snapping everything. But yeah, the puzzles require you to kind of think a little bit like laterally as well, like be like, oh, where could this relate back to and what could it be? But none of them are too hard. They just require a little bit of like, and I love a puzzle. I goddamn love a puzzle.
Sometimes though, like you do the thing where like you think, oh, well, I think it's this, but it can't be that because that would be too obvious. And then you start overthinking and you're looking for hours. And if it's one of those, I probably will slip up and make that kind of mistake several times. But
it's gettable. It's definitely gettable. The one piece of advice I can give you, which I got stuck on and had to look up a guide for because I was really infuriated about not being able to do it, and then realized I was just clicking the wrong place, is there's one bit where you'll have to interact with a plank. There's another bit on the plank you can click to get the thing that you need. There's one bit, there's something stuck underneath it, and there's something where you can just pick it up. Just pick up the thing you need to pick up. That's my best bit of advice.
Okay.
Look for 2 points on the blank.
I hope you get stuff like that in Resident Evil games as well, when like you're literally stuck and just going round and round in circles, and you realise it's that thing you've got in your inventory that you just need to spin around and like open the locket, and it's like, fuck. It's been the whole time that's been there.
Yeah.
Ellie, I think you've got a question that I was going to answer something to do with this, but actually I'll let you ask the question first because I've got something I want to talk about.
You sure?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Okay. So Jordan with an O, once again, hello Jordan, has sent in this question. What's the scariest non-horror game that you've played?
Ooh, so in with the theme of what I'm a bit afraid of, being water, Subnautica, absolutely.
That game's horrifying.
That's amazing.
Is that not a horror game? That looked like a horror game to me.
It's survival horror, isn't it? Surely.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's a horror game because it's like, just swimming around in some water, but I think it's very scary. If you don't want to have that as my answer, you can have Bugsnax.
Bugsnax is a great answer.
That's true.
Yeah, it's like a stealth horror game, isn't it? Like it's just the themes of it are like so disturbing by the end of the game. You're like, really parasites.
So weird.
Literally a Cronenberg movie. That game, it genuinely is like it's so like. I remember going down and like no spoilers, but I remember seeing the end and I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, who has done this? Who has thought of this? This children's game and this monster is here. Ugh.
There's also
like
sick. Again, like not really a spoiler, but there's like 2 endings to the game. One is like incredibly like grim and depressing.
Yeah.
I think I've only ever got one ending from it. I've played it twice because I played it once and then I played it again when the DLC came out. I think I've only ever got
Big Snacks, what it's called. Island of Big Snacks.
Yeah. That's the DLC. I don't know. I don't know if I want to play it again to get another ending because like
just go YouTube it. It's so depressing. You don't want to get that ending. Trust me.
I wonder which one I've had and what the other one is. I need to know. I'll have a look after this.
The kind of the thing is, it's just whether you do the side quests or not. If you don't do the side quests, then you're going to get a bad ending. And if you do, then you get the good ending. But things can still go wrong depending on how much you do and how you do it. And
I think I've always done all of the side quests on it. I think.
Yeah, so you'll always have the good ending.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I need to find out what the ending is then.
I mean, the reason I wanted you to ask this question as well is because, like, Ash was mentioning sort of games like that game, that Doritos game that takes a picture of you and stuff like that. Like, any game that breaks the fourth wall, I actually find quite scary. So for me, like, so the Metal Gear games, like the Metal Gear Solid 1, sorry, when Psycho Mantis could like read your PlayStation's memory card. That messed me up so much when I was little because I was just like, what the hell is this game? Like, I didn't know what's on my memory card. And then also, like in Metal Gear Solid 2, there's a bit where it starts to break down, where Raiden starts getting like the kernel.
On the codec, is it?
Yeah, on the codec, it starts turning into like a skeleton face and stuff. And it starts talking to me saying, turn off the game. I'd stop playing the game. And I'm just like, as a kid, I was just like there, like, why is the game talking to me? Like, it was so scary. Like, anything breaks the fourth wall like that, like, so it's not a video game, like, it's involving you. Even if it's not a horror game, that kind of makes me get like hair standing up on the back of my neck.
Yeah, I actually wrote that down for like the spooky moments earlier as well. I had like Inscription and Doki Doki Literature Club down just for like fourth wall breaking scary moments. Like Doki Doki Literature Club and Inscription, both like on PC, they go into your files and actually like manipulate things, and the only way to do it is play them. I love it on PlayStation though, where it has the it's kind of got like a mock server, so you get so much more to explore because it's someone else's computer. So I really liked that because you get like different nuggets of information from all of them. But yeah, like that, it's like, oh, do you want to delete this file? Like, I was like, don't look at my screenshots.
It was like Undertale as well, did the same sort of thing, didn't it? As well, I remember playing Undertale, and the bit where Flowey sort of kicks you back to your desktop on PC, and then on console it kicks you to this kind of like PlayStation's crash screen. You're like, oh geez, my PlayStation just like blue screened or something. Such a good experience. Like anything like that, just I find really pretty scary. This isn't the question that was sent in. This is like just from talking to some people that were sending questions in and stuff and chatting. This idea, true survival horror, as in like true survival horror as a genre, died with tank controls.
No.
Go on, Ash, you're very passionate about this. What do you think?
No. I think Tank controls, yes, good. Classic survival horror, yes, good. Innovation is the game, though, baby. Like, get with it. Like, games that can completely change the way you can control things and make it more adept and nimble and dynamic. That's much scarier when you have better control and fuller control. That is scarier. Frustration is not scary. Frustration is annoying. So that's my 2 cents.
Do you know what? You pretty much nailed that. I was like, I think going back to the actual tank controls itself, you said frustration is the key there because of your limitations on like the 4 directions. You know, it was scary. Resident Evil 2, the original Resident Evil 2, with Mr. X coming after you again, an indestructible force just bashing through these walls, and you're like, oh god, I've got to go all the way around by pressing this directional button and then hold down X or square and run. And but the modern day version is so much more intuitive and immersive. I think it's So
I think again, not to speak for people that were sort of talking about this, but like I think where this must come from, I think, is that there was a time, wasn't there, where survival horror, it looked like it kind of died out a little bit because it went very actiony. Like Capcom started doubling down, didn't they? And like I remember Resident Evil 5 came out; it was basically a co-op shooter with your mates. And it kind of, the feeling was, I guess, that like sort of true, in quotes, horror experiences were kind of dying out a little bit. But then I think that's, the genre's found such a good happy medium nowadays where it doesn't have to have these archaic controls and like, sort of fixed viewpoints and stuff. It can have like, full, sort of third person shooter mechanics almost, but still retain the horror, still retain like the experiences of like survival horror. So Dead Space was a really good sort of pioneer of that. And also I think, it's that idea of like a first person sort of horror has become like quite massive, like since I guess stuff like Amnesia and things like that have really exploded.
I'd say like Doom 3. Like the opening of Doom 3 is so scary. Like the opening is great. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Subnautica again.
Again.
The Evil Within is a great horror game, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Evil Within's got that sort of, that's got the true, old school survival horror kind of feel, but it doesn't compromise on weird tank controls. I love the Evil Within so much.
I think Tormented Souls as well is a recent one that's kind of come out that like honors that era of PS2 gaming and PS1, like the survival horror classics, and you can choose whether to have tank controls or not. And I think that's important and nice, because then if you want that kind of true survival horror experience from the olden days, you may have it, but then also like it runs perfectly well as kind of a new control system that's reflective of contemporary games and ones that have kind of expanded upon what you can do in the medium as well. I love a fixed perspective is what I love. I don't think that has aged at all. I think a fixed perspective in a horror game is amazing. Like you only have to look at like the Dark Pictures anthology. I erred, sorry there, excuse me. The Dark Pictures anthology or Until Dawn or The Quarry, like anything super massive. You look at that with their fixed perspectives and oh my God, that is what makes like a great horror game for me, like a cinematic horror experience, though that does veer away from the survival horror angle.
I think the horror has diversified a lot, hasn't it, as a genre? I mean, you think like back when people talk about this PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 era of survival horror, and there's a lot of golden stuff on those consoles, but that was quite sort of homogenous in how they were all sort of made and how they worked. Whereas you think like nowadays there's so many different experiences for horror. Like when we started this podcast, we talked about different things that scared us. And you think, well, it's only for the benefit of players. There's so many different things out there. You're going to find something that either entertains you or scares you or both. You know what I mean? Because there's so much stuff that's so different.
Yeah.
It's like a rainbow of gore.
Oh,
Just red.
It's just a big bruise going all
just a big red smudge.
A big veiny rainbow.
Right, quick fire recommendations for Halloween video games playlist. So if you had to like say to somebody, these are the top games to play over Halloween. If you're not really into horror, these are some games to smash over October. What would we all recommend we put on that list? So round robin. Oh, Rowan, go for it.
Go play Condemned Criminal Origins. It's fantastic.
I mean, Condemned, was the Condemned the one with the like mannequins and stuff with it that moved?
Yeah, so Condemned was Monolith, and I think it was after Fear, which is also the best first-person shooting game. And it's just the AI is insane. Like they run around picking up like debris and pipes and like throw stuff at you, and they like taunt you and that. And if you play a certain way, the AI kind of learns how you play. So if you play very cautiously, they'll hide around corners and try and catch you off guard and stuff, and they'll make fun of you as they're doing it. It's great. Condemned's amazing.
Cool.
I recommend it.
Good.
I've not actually ever played Condemned, but I've heard it popped up a few times.
It's so good.
Any other recommendations?
Ooh, everything I've said in this podcast. So like Inscription, Martha is Dead, Visage, all that kind of stuff. The Quarry, Dark Pictures games. Also House of the Dead remake, because it's just good fun. Like that whole light gun style thing. It's not very long, so you could just finish it on Halloween as well, like a good run through it and then do some challenges. I think that's a great Halloween game because it's got gore in the fun way, like splattery gore. And it's like a challenge as well as like just fun shooting. Like you can pick up different items and find secrets and that sort of stuff. So House of the Dead remake is definitely one. Also Mundawn as well, for something kind of indie and weird, and it's all a hand drawn and set in the Swiss mountains. I think it's so creepy and wonderful. I love Mundawn.
What Mundawn? I'm gonna write that down.
Mundawn. Mundawn. Great for someone from the West Midlands to say.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good shout. It's good to have some indie games in there as well as like big AAA game. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and Until Dawn's a great shout. I always play it over Halloween because like I was trying either get everyone through the night or kill everybody. And those two trophies are actually quite difficult to do, to be honest, because there's always some characters that like seem almost impossible to keep alive and almost impossible to kill as well. Like, you know.
Do you guys remember Time Splitters on PlayStation 2?
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
I mean, it's not a horror game, but there are some levels in it that are horror based, and they are scary. Like I feel like playing those, like there's one where I think there's like waves of zombies and you're in a haunted house or something, and then there's one where most of the levels I think you're kind of carrying something from A to B and trying not to die, but some of the levels are actually really scary, and I think sometimes something like that almost scares me more than some newer games. And so I don't know, there's something about it. I think it's like I feel more like I'm being chased again in that, like, and you can't, like, if you get stuck in a bit of a corner when there's too many hordes of zombies or something, it's like overwhelming.
Yes, cool. The deer haunter in Time Splitters Future Perfect is absolutely terrifying. Like literally like some massive deer that comes off the mantelpiece and is like and has like it looks like a Wendigo. It's horrible.
I think Wendigos are kind of cool. I don't know, I like them.
They're a great monster and they're so interesting, like the lore of them. But
have you ever like read about Skinwalker Ranch?
You're not supposed to say the name.
Oh no!
Wait, let me take that back.
Can I interject?
No, I can't say it backwards.
While we're talking about Wendigos, there's a movie.
No one's ever said to me I couldn't say it before. I'm worried now. I didn't know that. I talk about it all the time. I talk about it all the time.
There's a movie. There's a movie, right? Nathan put me onto it, and I recently got a bunch of my friends to watch it.
It's Ravenous.
Yeah. So the Guy Pearce one.
Yeah.
It's so confusing. It is so weird, and I didn't know what was going on through like all of it, and I watched it again after, and like me and my friends all sat there and watched it, and then researched it after, and we were like, we don't understand any of the creative choices, but we love it.
Yeah.
Go watch Ravenous.
I mean, that's a good shout. It's like go with Bone Tomahawk, isn't it? Because like another sort of Western horror.
Yeah,
it's just that one scene. I literally watched Bone Tomahawk because someone told me it was the most disgusting scene they'd ever seen in a film. So I was like, well, I need the context to get to this scene. And it was good. It was a good scene. It was a good moment. It's near the end for anyone looking for it. But yeah. I don't know. It's a good film either way. I just like Patrick Wilson. Like Patrick Wilson is proper little scream queen, isn't he? Like,
I love Kurt Russell. I've got such a man crush on Kurt Russell. I have forever. But absolutely, he is. I wish he was my dad. Outlast. So Outlast games. Original first 3 Resident Evils. Resident Evil 7. And Siren Blood Curse. So Nathan, we've spoken about this before.
Yeah, great game.
I think a long time ago. So that's PS3 game. And that's kind of almost a hybrid. It was a little bit tanky on its controls, but that kind of obviously that sight jacking thing where you could get into the kind of the into their line of sight. I've never played because there's a few Siren games on the PS2, wasn't there?
There's a couple of them. Yeah, there was Forbidden Siren 1 and 2. Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah, but
Forbidden Sirens on PS Plus.
Is it what?
That's cool.
Yeah, it is.
Yes. I'm going to download that then. But that game absolutely terrified me. Again, because you're kind of, especially when you play as a little girl, and not again, it's that disarming thing for me. It really terrifies me. So that's a great game for Halloween. Alien Isolation as well. Another classic,
yeah, definitely.
right?
Definitely.
Great game.
Do you know what we haven't mentioned, which is really weird, is Silent Hill? I don't think we mentioned it today.
Oh my God.
What's wrong with us?
That's because we were all so scared of it. We're like, oh my God, don't mention Silent Hill.
Skip over.
I mean, me and Rowan talk about Silent Hill a lot. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, I was like biting my tongue today. I was like, don't say Silent Hill. Don't say Silent Hill.
We mention it now and again. It's been mentioned. So
drop Silent Hill 2 every now and
right.
again, yeah.
Can I just ask, can I say that place name backwards? I've written it down. I feel like if I say it backwards, it might help my case. It might be safe.
Reverse the curse.
I'm going to
try it.
I'm going to try it. Okay. This might make things worse. It's more likely because it sounds like a spell. Chinar Reklonix.
Oh, right. We're all cursed. Great.
You've turned Rowan into a ghost.
That sounded like the Book of the Dead thing from Evil Dead. I'm not going to lie.
If I say it 3 times, something will happen.
Try it.
Why don't we all chant it together?
No, I'm not joining you in the curse.
You've got me feeling superstitious. I'm like, well, you're not supposed to say.
Don't worry, it'll happen to me. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Oh no,
I want to live.
that particular, oh my God, I'm so superstitious about it. That particular beast though, I love reading about. Like, it's one of my favorite legends. Wendigos and that one, and Goatman as well. Like, Anansi's Goatman, the creepypasta, I think is one of the scariest things I've read, because it's written like, I don't know, just the way it's written by this guy who's like totally there, he's totally immersed in it. It's about this weird, like, shifty little freak in the woods. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Them in the woods outside. So what that, I know you probably won't say it now, but the one that Ellie said, and you're not allowed to say, I want to Google it. What is it? Can someone type it to me? Someone send me a message with it in.
Yes,
can we,
later.
Yeah?
I've already cursed myself. I'll just say it again.
Oh, okay, curse yourself again, please, Ellie.
Skinwalker Ranch.
I the voice as well.
It's Skinwalker Ranch. Skinwalker Ranch. Like the song.
Okay.
It's like Candyman. You need it a couple more times.
Yeah. I've said it like so many times now. I will be not around for long.
It's just, I remember reading it once that it's like it's bad luck, or like the like Native American cultures it's come from, they don't like talking about it. But I'm not sure if that's like, I need to read more on it. It was a while ago when I read about it, but I wasn't sure if it was something where it's just like, it's the legends and you don't want them spreading and giving power to them and that sort of thing. Ooh, makes me feel spooked.
Spooky.
One thing I will throw into our recommendations though before we sort of run out of time soon is Castlevania. No one ever mentions Castlevania for horror, but in terms of like Halloween, man, Halloween's a perfect time to smash out some Castlevania, like Symphony of the Night and stuff. They're not like scary games. So
Kid Dracula. Did you ever play Kid Dracula?
Kid Dracula, maybe, yeah.
Which is an offshoot of a Castlevania game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is definitely is, yeah, 100%. It's on the Castlevania collection as well, Kid Dracula.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I mean, when we talk horror, we always talk about scary stuff, but horror is also quite fun. I love the film Trick or Treat. That's such a good film that doesn't seem to have.
Yes!
I love that movie. Yeah, it's brilliant. Why is that film not on Blu-ray in this country or available anyway?
Oh my God. I don't know, but it's amazing. I'm literally sorry, I'm looking at my trousers. I have some pajamas that are like trick-or-treat pajamas. I'm half dressed, obviously. And I have trick-or-treat pajamas with little Sam on. I love him so much. He's so cute.
Yeah, like the spirit of Halloween. It's like Halloween's version of the Easter Bunny, isn't it? You mean?
Yeah. Oh, and Easter's version of the Halloween bunny is Murder House, which is just really cheesy, like pixelated PS1 style horror, which is very good fun. But it's based in Easter, so you'll have to wait a while to play it.
Oh no, that's like Night Before Christmas. You know what I mean? Is that Christmas movie?
Yeah.
Or is that Halloween?
Is that the puppet combo game?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Okay, I thought so. Yeah, I follow puppet combo quite closely, man. I love the whole. Whether he's doing that.
Yeah, Puppet Combo is great. It's so good. That and Happy's Humble Burger Farm is like something in the same vein. I love Happy's Humble Burger Farm. It's so silly.
Sounds cute.
Oh, it's ridiculous. It's about
I'm
a
gonna write that
murderous
down.
cow mascot. It's great.
Nathan,
Right.
nobody's mentioned The Evil Dead either. In any format, games or movies.
The online sort of co-op. Yeah. the online-
It's even the films as well.
It's pretty okay.
Yeah. It's quite one of those niche games, isn't it? Like, I guess like, if you're a fan of the Evil Dead films, then you're going to get loads out of it.
Me and all 4 other people really like it.
It is
Right.
good. It's very faithful.
Yeah. This has been a great podcast, guys. It's been fantastic. We're about to run out of time, though. So before we go, there's one last extra weird question. This is the weirdest question. This is sent in by George, who goes by at G211220000. It's the most catchy Instagram handle I think we have on the show. And George wants to know who would win in a fight to the death between 10 knee-high pyramid heads from Silent Hill and 1 full-size Michael Myers from Halloween.
The pyramid heads.
Do you reckon they would overpower him?
Yeah, 10 knee-high pyramid heads. When the man can rip off a whole body of skin in one fist. 10 of them at your knees. 10 of
Michael
them
Myers
at your knees.
Michael Myers can't die. Yeah, Michael Myers can't die, right?
But does he get Busta Rhymes back up though? So,
maybe.
No, the pyramid head does. And everything's turned on his head. No. It's got to be Michael Myers, right?
No.
Oh, it seems split on this. I don't know.
Maybe
I
if
don't
he
know.
has maybe Loomis back up, it's like, you don't know evil there.
That's a good impression, dude.
Goes,
No, but
attacks
seriously,
the
10 knee-high pyramid heads. I'm sorry. No, you need to agree because 10 pyramid heads, no matter their size,
but they'd
10
have,
pyramid heads.
They'd have
I
butter
think
knives,
Ash
wouldn't
might
they?
be right on this one though. Yeah, but
No,
like,
I'm bemused that isn't just the answer.
if we
It's
think
like
about
in
it,
Jurassic Park, though, when you've got the T-Rex and there's loads of velociraptors jumping on the T-Rex. The velociraptors are going to win. Maybe.
Yeah.
Wait, now I'm not sure.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
Yeah,
They
definitely
do.
in my head.
The T-Rex gets them. The T-Rex gets them and then roars, and then the banner falls down. It's amazing.
We'll never know.
it could be like Army of Darkness. So it's just loads of little guys,
Right.
and they're all like,
We need to make it happen
shenanigans.
on the battle simulator. On the army simulator. Someone needs to make it.
You know what? Give it 2 more Halloween movies. I wouldn't be shocked.
yeah.
We'll see.
Halloween ends again. The end for real
Again.
this time, guys. Yeah. Okay, I'll put a poll down. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, pyramid head just comes on screen, just takes the skin off. I'll put a poll on the Spotify version of this podcast. I'll put a poll underneath, and we can see who wins. Right. Cool. Thank you, guys. Been nice to have you with us, and thank you,
Nice
Ash,
to
so
meet you.
much for coming.
Thank you, Ash.
Thank you so much. It's been amazing. I loved it. Thank you so much for having me, everyone.
And everyone have a spooky season and a nice Halloween as well.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See you later.